Welcome back. Thank you very much for staying with us. It is often said that for students to excel in their educational journey, a solid foundation in early childcare development and the foundational phase of their schooling is crucial. Research shows that the first 8 years are the most important in terms of human development. Learning at this stage is influenced by a friendly and safe environment, and it's the time where students' social, emotional and cognitive skills develop. Let's discuss this further then. We are now joined via Zoom by Professor Elizabeth Henning from the South African National Research Foundation. She's the Chair for Integrated Studies of Learning, Language, Maths and Science in the primary school. Thanks very much, Prof, for joining us here on SABC News.
Hello to all of you and your viewers.
Prof, let's start here. Let's talk about the importance of this solid foundation phase. We hear that the first 8 years are crucial. Is there no turning the tide should those first 8 years not necessarily be as solid as one would have liked?
It's difficult to answer that one simply because in those 8 years, the brain is still so malleable. There's so much plasticity. There's so much that can quickly change. And if a child has a normal, like in a safe environment in which to grow up, it doesn't have to be highly educative with lots of books and expensive toys and colorful blocks. No, just a safe environment in which adults and other people engage with them. Then it's a pretty good estimate of where they will go when they enter school. Yeah. So I think it's important to emphasize that the human being as Homo sapiens, the young of the Homo sapiens, is literally destined to succeed if it feels safe and there's enough food and enough security and kindness.
Yeah. Prof, in 2020, the Department of Education released the trends in international mathematics and science study of 2019, which found that 63% of grade 4 learners had not acquired basic mathematical knowledge and that 72% had not acquired basic science knowledge. How do we deal with South Africa's declining mathematics numbers, and is it fair to still deal with it in that way, given that children are all different? Not all would necessarily be gifted when we're talking about science or maths, but may have other talents they have to offer. Is it still fair for us to gauge using maths and science?
I think maths and science are very important.
No, I don't disagree with you. I don't disagree with you. I'm asking the question of, is it still fair, given how things are now, that we still judge based on mathematics and science, and given the other things that children are capable of doing now?
Yeah, let me put it this way. Yeah. The more children learn about anything, the better. And the way we look at maths and science and the way we evaluate it and the way that we engage in these international and regional testing systems, maybe that's not so fair. Yeah. Maybe it doesn't give the whole picture. And in our work on the UJ Soweto campus, in our chair, we like to investigate a little bit deeper. So what is the role of the language that you use and that you engage with when you learn mathematics, when you develop the first science concepts? And let me tell you what we've found so far is that kids who grow up in rural areas have a very good intuition and a basic knowledge of scientific concepts. And when we get to school, we like to formalize things. We like to put it in so-called academic language. And I think that is part of the problem, part of the bridge that we have to cross. And so part of our research is also, how do you teach children this other language to describe the world and to engage with the world, including specifically mathematics, because early childhood is the time when children can develop so much understanding. And let me tell you, they do. But I'm not sure that we always know how to assess it. That's maybe part of the problem.
Yeah. And, while you're speaking about language, I want to get your analysis on this, whether or not, should mother tongue education be promoted in South Africa? And I ask that on the back of the fact that, with the history that we have in South Africa, that also involves, issues of separation, and that comes with, other ugly connotations too. But I do hear what you're saying. I mean, I would have loved to be, taught maths in Sepedi, for instance. But, is it practical? Just in South Africa, alone, we have about 11 official languages. How practical is it, when we're looking at the reality of it all?
I must just tell you, the most practical thing about this is our teachers.
Yeah.
Our teachers can code switch and translate in the most amazing ways. So as long as the teacher has the intuition or the training or the in-service training to say, okay, this is how we say it in Sepedi or in Chivenda. But you know what? This is how it is said in English. And kids have the most amazing ability because of this cognitive flexibility, because they have so much plasticity, that if a teacher keeps on doing this, they can do it. Yeah. And in the end, like we see at our lab school in Soweto, they can actually transcend these barriers. And by grade 3, 4, actually, the isiZulu and Sesotho, which is taught at the school, is a little bit lower than their performance in English on things like mathematical word problems. So I think we need all just, if you'll excuse my teenage expression here, I think we all just need to chill a bit and not worry so much about this. And the teachers are the people who can do it. And they can do it in far distant Eastern Cape schools. I've seen that. Yeah. And in Northwest schools and here in the city schools.
Yeah. Let's talk about, today we're celebrating and talking about, grade 1 starting school today and tomorrow. And there's of course, all this excitement that the parents have and that the kids have. But, this is all leading to them ultimately, reaching, matric. And that's where we're going to start to hear those results. Now, how do we ensure that those who are starting school now, the grade 1 intake now, actually reach that grade 12, considering the high number of dropouts? I mean, every year you hear very scary numbers pertaining to the dropouts, and I know during COVID-19 it was even worse. So how do we actually get through this?
I don't think there's a guarantee or there's a list of things one should do and can do to prevent dropouts and to ensure that the grade 1 cohort of 2023 will get to the grade 12 cohort in, let me do the maths, 2035.
Yeah.
The thing is, it's consistency and it is trust. We are I think we are so clogged down with all the negativity around us in so many ways that we forget that the inherent drive of an individual is big. And the inherent drive of that individual is also the individual who is the teacher. Yeah. And I think we underestimate our teachers and we blame them so often. If we say we could do a miracle, Flo, we could convert our teachers into motivators and hard workers overnight. That would be the answer. Yeah. And let me tell you, most of them are, but they don't get acknowledged in the public space. So they also lose, I think they lose some of their energy, and it's all just too much. And I think South Africa as a whole, the society, all the communities, all the languages, all the groups, oh, God help us, also the political parties, that we should just say, our teachers can do it. And they need us as a society, all of us. Yeah. All our millions, to stand behind them. And we've seen what that does in small little schools far away in a district in Northwest, when the community as such, and when I say community, I don't mean loose people, I mean people who live there and who work there and who care for children and who make sure that they get to school. I think we get so saddened and so nationally depressed that we actually influence young people's drive, and more importantly, the drive of the teachers. And then I must also say, the belief that the parents have, those parents that I saw on TV now, bringing their little kids to school. They trust, they believe, they see a future.
Yeah.
We mustn't take it away from them. I'm not ideological. I'm not airy-fairy, not at all. I can tell you that it is possible. And we, in our work, we try our utmost. And I can tell you, people like my recent graduate, Fikile Simelani, who studied the teaching of reading in an isiZulu school in Soweto, to see what she found and what she's going to do. That's what we need. I don't think we must be naive about that. We have a problem.
Yeah.
But tell me, where in the world don't they have exactly this problem?
All right. Prof, it was a pleasure talking to you, and I hope that we'll continue to have these very important conversations. Thank you very much for giving us your time.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much.